So we all have those friends who are very smart and they love to share their opinions. A lot of them probably, do their homework, they do their research, they probably know what they're talking about to a degree. But my question here today is, should we be listening to those types of people when it comes to retirement planning, when it comes to plan for something that we've been working hard for the last 40 years of? Do they have enough expertise, knowledge, and experience to help you get to where you're going to go? That's what we're going to talk about today on today's episode of Joe Knows Retirement.
Joe knows taxes.
Joe knows the market.
Joe knows Social Security.
Joe knows income planning.
Joe knows pickleball? No.
This is Joe Knows Retirement.
So this one's a fun one because I know we often like to listen to people we like and trust, right? Especially if they're friends. And if it's someone we can trust, then we typically want to take everything they say as truth. And so I want to talk to you today about that concept that, hey, if you have a friend who is really excited about retirement planning, who has done their research, not to say you shouldn't listen to them. I'm sure they can have some valuable insight and be very helpful. But the questions that I'd really want you to ask them, or make sure you take what they say with a grain of salt, is, do they do this every day? Have they planned hundreds of retirements over their lifetime? Do they know that your situation is more specific and different than their own? Is all things that we need to be aware of when listening to our peers when giving financial advice. And so we see many people who come to us who maybe they've taken some insight from their friends and maybe it hasn't gone the direction that they wanted it to. And that's why now they're seeking out that professional guidance to make sure they don't miss anything. So again, it's not to tell you not to listen to those people. It's just to tell you to be more aware, and maybe it makes sense to seek out someone who does this every day, who has more research behind them, who has more expertise and obviously experience of seeing a lot of people just like you retire comfortably and having success with that, with people they've worked with. So I'm going to walk you through 6 reasons why you should not listen to your peers and talk about it in more detail and just try to give you a better perspective as you look to plan for your retirement here. And so the first thing that we want to be aware of, as I've already said, is how many retirements have they planned? And this isn't the funny one. I've actually asked this people directly to someone because I'm pretty blunt, as you've probably learned by watching these episodes, is I'm going to tell you how it is. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And that's something we always ask people that we're working with before we work with them, is saying, hey, are you okay if we be hard on you? Because if you're not okay with that and you want to do things your own way, why are you going to pay us a fee to try to help you here when we're acting in your best interest, when we're doing all the research and the due diligence to ultimately, help you make that decision? And so we want to be hard on people. At the end of the day, it's obviously their decision of what they do. We're not telling them that they have to say and do everything that we say, but we're going to challenge them, because if we're not challenging them, then what are they paying for our help for? We've got to be really challenging to make sure we can get to the best solution there. So how many retirements have they planned is that question that you want to ask, because if they've only planned their retirement, they could be successful. I'm not going to tell them say they're not, but do they understand all the complexities outside of their case? Retirement planning has so many different decisions to make. Just look at tax planning. There's over 1,700 tax incentives in the tax code. How many of those are they actually utilizing? How many of them actually apply to you and not them, that they haven't even researched? So those are the things that you would be aware of. And just understand, when working with hundreds of retirees, you're going to have more expertise of seeing different things and understanding things from different angles that may be able to better suit that plan. And so, if you're planning for a 20 to 30 year retirement, you may not have a lot of room for mistakes. And so 1 or 2 mistakes in retirement can be very costly. And so you have to ask yourself, do I want to listen to someone who may not be able to see all those different mistakes that could happen? Or do you want to see and work with someone who maybe has already seen that mistake happen, or they know how to plan for those specific mistakes? It's kind of like when you're getting surgery, right? Do you want to work with the specialist to do that surgery, or just the family doctor? The family doctor may not understand how specific that specific retirement is something you want to consider. So the other thing that we want to look for, to be aware of when listening to your peers, is do they know what things are going to look like when you're at age 85, for example? Are they going to be able to continually give you guidance over time? Do they have the time to give you guidance over time? Or are they just giving you opinions for one time and then you're going to trust that that's enough to plan for the next 20 years? And if you are going to really listen to them, what's that going to look like for the next 20 years? Are they going to still have the same intellectual knowledge, in 10 years and 15 and 20 years than they would have right now? Would be the things that you want to think through if you're really going to put a lot of trust into that person. If you're just looking for one-time advice for them, hey, that's great. Now, what are you going to do over the next 10 years yourself to do that research that you need to get to the answers that you're looking for? Would be some of the considerations that you would want to think of. Another one that's important, and this is even if you're looking to do it on your own or listen to a peer, is what kind of software are you utilizing to make decisions? Are you just looking at it and saying, yep, I'll do this? Are you guessing, or are you really running the numbers to see how much you should Roth convert each year, to see if you should Roth convert each year, to see how many capital gains you should sell off, to see the impact of income when you take out income from your investments, of how much is that going to force my Social Security now to be taxed? Or is that going to force me into higher Medicare premiums and now cause healthcare to cost more? And so we'd really want to see someone use more advanced tools and resources to make those decisions. So again, listening to a peer, do they have that amount of software and resource? And they may, but typically it's more expensive. And so if someone's just doing a one-time plan for themselves, then they're probably not going to pay for all those more sophisticated tools and resources. And that's why it may make sense to tap into a professional who, again, does that every day, but has those amount of resources because they do it at scale. Another thing to keep in mind is, do they have a team, right? Again, that's something that we feel is very valuable with the service that we deliver to our clients is, we never have just one client work with one advisor, because you're going to miss things in those instances because not everyone can do everything. I mean, I'll give a very vivid example. So when I started the firm Peak Retirement Planning, it was just me. And what I quickly learned is that I could probably do that, but I couldn't serve a ton of clients. It was probably between like 50 to 75 clients if I wanted to run a business and serve the clients and make sure I still have work-life balance. I mean, you can't serve everyone, but it also, my service, the servicing offering I would have delivered would have been a lot less comprehensive because I would have had to do it all with just one person. Well, now that we have a team, we're able to deliver a much higher level of service because we have different specialists in different areas to serve that client. So you don't have to be a jack of all trades and master of none if you can work with a team. And so again, it's the idea of, is that one person, your peer who's giving you advice, are they going to truly be able to help you there ongoing? And the other conversation, it just doesn't even have to be a friend. I mean, let's just think of all of those educators out there, including myself, right? Including myself, or including, a Dave Ramsey or a Susie Orman, or, anyone out there that you're listening to for financial information. They can be really good. I mean, I like to think the content we provide is very good, but it's not specific guidance. It's education. It's resources to open your eyes to learn more. But if you're really wanting specific advice, these people, including myself, are not going to be able to do so unless we're able to see your specific situation. And so that comes to the next point is, working with a licensed financial planner, someone who's a fully licensed fiduciary would be something you want to look at that can actually give specific financial advice when looking at your situation. A lot of these people out there, they're not serving as a licensed financial advisor to you unless you really seek them out for individualized advice there. Would be the thing that you would want to look at. So that's point 5, is making sure that you're working with a fully licensed fiduciary to make sure that you're getting the best advice. And so, maybe it's that friend who is not licensed, they don't do it every day. Well, there's no liability for them if they make a wrong decision. Versus if you're working with a fully licensed fiduciary, if they make the wrong decision, they're going to be liable. They could lose their job. They could, face consequences. And so, again, working with someone who has the right expertise, who has taken the right tests and passed the right education requirements and experience requirements to be able to give the advice that you're looking for. And again, we'd look for, that fully licensed fiduciary. That CFP, Certified Financial Planner, is a strong designation in our industry. I believe it's a gold star in my opinion. And so if you're looking for that type of advice, that shows that that person has gone through all of the education requirements. It's shown that they have passed the test. They've been in it for a period of time, the industry for a period of time, and again, they're required to act in your best interest. So at Peak Retirement Planning, that's something that we require all of our advisors to have or in the process of getting because we take it seriously. I mean, this is people's life savings. We need to make sure we know as much as we can to give them the best advice. So I make sure you work with someone who is a certified financial planner to really ensure that they're doing that comprehensive planning, but to show that they have that knowledge and expertise to do that. If someone's not serious about helping someone with their life savings, they may not go and get that certification. And in my mind, I'm not telling you that an advisor without it is a bad advisor. That's not the case. But I'm just telling you that I'd like to see someone who really wants to go the extra mile to make sure they're best serving their clients. And I think the CFP is a good gauge of that, in my opinion. So that's something to look for. And then the last thing that you want to look for, that reason number 6, is the resources. What resources do they have? So I know I've talked about some of this with the software and things like that, but what are they doing to serve you ongoing? Do they have a specific process that they're doing? So again, working with a peer, they're not going to have a structured process where they're reaching out every quarter, like maybe a financial planner would, to ensure you're making the right decisions. Again, all of those online people that you may be listening to, what is their process? They're doing videos every week or every day to guide guidance, but how are you going to make sure you're taking action on those items to make sure you end up with the best situation moving forward? So those are the 6 things that I would personally listen to or pay attention to as you're looking to get financial education and guidance from others out there. Again, at the end of the day, I'm going to recommend you work with a professional who does this every day if you're really looking to maximize your situation. Now, again, you got to make sure you're working with a specialist who's going to best serve you. And so if you feel like the content that we provide, if you feel like the type of planning that we do is something that you're interested in, or you feel like it could be of value to you, then you can feel free to schedule a time with our team, and you can jump on our calendar to explore further of what it would look like to work with us, or see if we could truly add value to your situation. Again, we don't work with everyone, so if we can't add value to you, or at least direct you in the right place to go. But if you are looking for this type of advice, and we can explore further of what that would look like to ensure that you're not missing anything as we discussed here today, and make sure you got that plan that you're comfortable with, that you're confident with, to last you throughout your retirement. Because why work for the last 40 years to just leave it for chance moving forward? I was actually doing a workshop local here in Columbus, Ohio, where our home office is, and a guy came up to me after the workshop, and I had a mountain analogy on the slides, and he came up to me and said, "Hey, look, I'm right here on this mountain. I'm 3 years in," and he said something to me I'll never forget. He said, "I don't want to make a stupid mistake." He said, "I've worked hard for all these years, and I don't want to make a mistake," because he said 1 or 2 mistakes can be very costly in retirement. And he said, "I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, and that I can enjoy what I've worked hard for." And so that's my hope for everyone, for all the listeners out there, for all the people who follow our content, is, hey, enjoy what you've worked hard for. Get to do what you want to do, and live the retirement for what you want to do. Maybe that's traveling. Maybe you can travel if you want to travel. Maybe it means you can retire if you want to retire. Maybe it can mean you work part-time or volunteer more if that's what you want to do. Maybe it means you spend more time with grandkids. It's whatever you want to do with your retirement, go do it, and make sure that you've got a plan in place to ensure you can do it and be financially responsible and just be the best steward of your money. And so that's what financial freedom is to me, is being able to do what you want to do with what you worked hard for. So there you go with another episode of Joe Knows Retirement. If you are looking for scheduling with us, you can go to our website, peakretirementplanning.com, and you can pick a time there that works for you. And if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can see that link in the description below, or you can go to our website as well. So enjoy the rest of your day there, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Since we do not know your specific situation, none of this information can serve as tax, legal, insurance, or financial advice, and may be outdated or inaccurate. The information comes from sources believed to be reliable but cannot be guaranteed. This content is prepared for educational purposes only. If you need advice, please contact a qualified CPA, attorney, insurance agent, financial advisor, or the appropriate professional for the subject you would like help with. Peak Retirement Planning, Inc. is an Ohio-based registered investment advisor and able to offer advisory services in Ohio and in other states where registered or exempt from registration.